Is this seriously Marvel's lineup for Phase 5? Because after Guardians Volume 3, I don't think I'm going to be watching any of this crap. Nobody wants to watch a movie about Miss Marvel teaming up with Captain Marvel and Wanda's friend from her show. All these movies look super boring and unentertaining, and none of them look like they're connected or leading towards anything significant. The only thing on here that looks kind of cool is the Daredevil show, but that's just borrowed hype from the Netflix show. Marvel could very easily screw this up, as they've done with pretty much everything in Phase 4. They didn't have a single good movie last year. Nothing that I want to go back and rewatch. So my faith in them is getting pretty thin, and it's almost dead. And here's why. Everybody pretty much knows that Ant-Man is gonna die in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And now we're left with Thor. He's the only Avenger from the past 3 phases that's still left. Everyone else that we liked is dead. So Ant-Man's dead. Everybody knows a couple characters from Guardians are gonna die. So everything that we liked is dead, and now we're left with these boring ass characters like Shang-Chi and the Eternals and Sam Wilson as Captain America and Shuri as Black Panther and She-Hulk and like all these characters that nobody asked for and nobody is gonna end up liking, okay? Marvel is literally writing themselves into a corner. They're introducing all these new characters and getting rid of everybody we liked, and they're gonna try to make a big team-up movie in a couple years, and nobody's gonna watch it. Nobody's gonna like it. The only interesting characters in it are going to be Thor and kind of Sam Wilson, because this new batch of characters are all super boring. That's why nobody liked any of the Phase 4 movies, because every character was the exact same character. And people have had this criticism of Marvel before, but at least before, the actors still had more charisma and you still enjoyed watching them more. Now we have all these boring people who don't bring anything interesting to the character. So now we have Brie Larson and the girl who played She-Hulk trying to do the same charismatic thing that like Chris Hemsworth and Scarlett Johansson and Paul Rudd were doing, and they just can't pull it off the same. Marvel isn't hiring as good of actors anymore, or at least much less charismatic and interesting ones. So if this terrible character writing persists, which it most likely will, that's a good reason to not watch any of the Marvel stuff after Guardians 3. Another reason why Phase 5 looks particularly bad is because Phase 4 was so awful. Like literally huge step down from Phase 3. I didn't even see it coming. Marvel used to be an unstoppable powerhouse of entertainment, and they brought in tons and tons of money, and everybody loved pretty much all their movies, except for like Captain Marvel. But then Phase 4 rolled around, and they just stumbled over themselves, and then collapsed face first into the pavement, and I was extremely surprised. I didn't think that adding this much more content would mean the quality would drop that much, but it did. The increased volume of shows and movies really made the quality tank, and we all noticed it because they pretty much made nothing good. And due to the fact they're gonna keep that same volume up for Phase 5 is why I'm not really particularly excited for anything, because even if they do have a good idea, they're probably gonna botch the execution because they're not putting enough resources to it, or they're not taking enough time to write a good story or develop good characters within that story. There's a whole bunch of reasons why not taking time to actually make a show or a movie will make that thing less good. But the biggest reason that Phase 5 looks like it's gonna kind of suck is that the writing is probably gonna be terrible, because the writing for Phase 4 was terrible. The movies literally went nowhere. They had no direction. There was nothing tying them together, and it looks like Phase 5 is gonna continue that trend, because there's no Avengers movie teaming them up. There's no movie where any of these characters are coming together except for the Marvels, and nobody cares about any of those characters. And also the writing within the individual movies is probably not going to be very good either, because the writers are either stressed because they're having to write too much or in too little time, and also because a lot of these writers are very self-indulgent and not very good at their jobs, and they try to push their messages and their political beliefs onto the story, which of course always hinders storytelling when you try to put a message first and then work backwards through the story. Okay, we saw that of course with She-Hulk. It was an awful show. Nobody liked it. You could predict it from the trailers. It was just going to be terrible because the writers were clearly trying to tell you one thing, allow for no opposition within the show, bludgeon you over the head with their message, and then just sort of let storytelling take a back seat. I'm hoping this trend sort of goes away, but with the whole, political climate in this country and stuff, doesn't look like that's going to be happening anytime soon. And, Disney is very political now and stuff, and I'm not trying to make any statements or anything, but I am saying when you're trying to have a message go before your story, storytelling, it never ends up good. So I have no reason to be excited for any of these Phase 5 projects, and I don't think anybody really does. Unless you really love what Disney is all about and all their political messages and you're really there for it. But for most of us who don't really care about that stuff and we just want to see good storytelling and epic action scenes of people in spandex punching aliens on foreign planets, we're probably all going to be very disappointed by Phase 5. A lot of people are going to try and say, oh, well, don't judge the projects before they come out, blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. But here's the thing. You can be surprised every once in a while, but usually you can tell from the trailers and the way the company has been carrying itself that projects are going to turn out a certain way. I was saying before She-Hulk came out, yeah, this is going to suck. It's going to be pushing its message the whole time. It's not going to tell a good story. It's going to hate its audience. It's going to try to troll its own audience. Everyone in the comments said, just watch it first before you critique it because it could be good. And I'm like, seriously? What are you talking about? And then it came out and it's exactly what I predicted it would be. And then everyone's like, okay, well, that's just one example. And I'm like, no, Disney clearly has something they're trying to say here, and they're letting it hinder their storytelling, and I doubt that's going to stop persisting. So that's why me and a lot of other people sort of have some skepticism for the future of the MCU. Let me know what your thoughts are on MCU Phase 5 and 6 and just the future of Marvel in general down in the comments below. Love to hear what you guys have to say, and that's all I've got for today. I hope to see you in the next video.